Morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere else that I put this video? It's your girl Knowledge by Nikki with 1K. And I am feeling really inspired this morning. Today was actually the second or third phase, I lose track, in Illinois, or actually Illinois and Chicago, because the south suburbs are a little bit different than the city. But this is a third phase, I believe, of salons being able to open in Chicago, okay, today. So there was a lot of excitement about that happening. There was a lot of apprehensiveness because of obviously what's going on in the world with the looting and the protesting, and, you know, as if we didn't have enough going on, right? I actually, in the midst of all of this, I reached out to a friend of mine who is a Caucasian, and she owns many salons, and she has salons that are all commission. And I don't even know how we got on this conversation. It just kind of organically went this direction. But since we are at a time where, unfortunately, racial disparity is again at an all-time high, and people are, it's front and center. Us that are black, we know it ain't never really went away. It's just it every couple years or so, and even not even that far apart in the last maybe 10 years, something happens that brings it to the forefront of the nation. So I'm going to give you kind of what I call a watered down version of even understanding how in different businesses it has the same, I don't want to use the word disparity, but for the lack of it, I'm going to use that word and help you understand the conversation that I had with my Caucasian salon owner who owns many salons on yesterday. And it was interesting. We talked about the whole booth rental versus commission thing. That's kind of the direction that the conversation went. And what was actually interesting is, as she spoke, and she wouldn't dare do booth rental. She's like, I don't even understand. Why would I, listen to me now, salon owners, when I say this, she's like, why would I spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, all, you know, some 100. My first salon was 85 grand. Why would I spend, this is her talking, all this money and then let people just come in, basically pay me a couple of dollars, do whatever they want, and walk out the door? This was her talking. And I actually agree with her. But let's shift it. I am a black woman who has owned salons for a very long time. I stopped salon ownership for about 6 or 7 years because I was busy traveling and building that maybe 10 years, building that aspect of my industry. So when I decided to come back into the salon fold, I had a different perspective of what I was going to do at that stage. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. I went on to say, well, I just want to enlighten you, and I won't say her name, that you're not going to get the average black stylist. I don't care at what tier of working they are, unless they literally fresh out of school, they are not going to work commission. And if they work commission, they're not going to work it long. And if they do even decide, maybe they're seasoned, they just want to maybe work commission for a while, they're not going to adhere to the things that are required by a commission worker, like being at the salon, waiting for walk-ins. They're not going to sit. They're not going to. So we went into this back and forth dialogue because I feel her. I get her. I 100% agree with the fact that it doesn't make sense for one person to do all the upfront investing, all of it, and then all they get is a couple dollars, which subsequently you can't keep raising even if your costs go up. And you basically your return on your investment, you automatically know when the door is going to be low. It's going to be low because it's capped off at a certain amount. They're still working, still building, meaning your booth renters would be still working, still building, but yet your utilities go up, but you can't just keep going up on the rent because you won't keep them. So I agree. I see it on both sides. I'm giving you both sides of the coin. So we went on to talking, and we got into the conversation of suites. Now, suites, private suites, fully enclosed rooms, private suites, are the only way that the average Caucasian worker is going to work in a booth rental setting, or a Caucasian owner is going to allow them to work booth renting. But this is the difference, guys. Automatically, when a Caucasian owner has spent their money, his or her money, 100,000, 50, whatever the amount of money is, and they put you in a suite, they have made the decision that, cool, this is your box with your door. You must have your own insurance. You do you in here. I am not responsible for anything that you do, you buy, how you market. I don't have to help you. That's how they feel. When they decide that we're going to let you do this, the only way it's going to work for us is if I let you do this. I spend all my money. That's my upfront investment. And I let you do this. But in exchange for you having this booth rental or this kind of do it your way mentality, is that you are 100% responsible for yourself. Period. The only thing you got to do is obey maybe the rules of the house. You know, we got a hallway. You can't have maybe kids running through the hallway. You know, a couple rules like that. This is where, and this is her and I having this conversation. This is where it gets interesting, though, is I went to explain to her how a lot of Black salon owners, first off, you go into salon ownership, or this is your thought process. When you go into salon ownership with a traditional salon, I have had people tell me I am a business development coach for salon owner entrepreneurs. Most of you all know that. This is one of the things that always comes across the lips of people while I'm interviewing them. If they already have a salon or if they're trying to go into one, they always say, I want to open a salon. I want it to be booth rental. They aren't even entertaining the option of commission because I don't want to manage people. I hear that, and I don't want to be bothered with having to tell them how to market, all the stuff that comes with managing people. And I find myself listening to this, and I let them finish. And then I ask them, what is business to you? What does that mean to you? What does opening a business mean to you? And they'll give me some spiel about, they want to build a team and this and that and the other and all this other stuff that I'm sure some of you all have heard before or think. And then I ask them, I say, okay, well, if you want to build a team, and we're talking about people that want to do open, traditional salon blueprints, but do a booth rental. This is what me and my friend are having this conversation. And I was explaining to her what I'm telling you is about these are the conversations I have with these salon owners. They want to do this. I ask them about that. What is business? They say they want to build this team. Okay, let's think about what a team is. Take any team, any sport, just any team. I don't care what they're doing. If they crocheting, whatever. Every team needs a coach. Every team. I don't care what it is that they're doing. And coaches have to manage players in the team. Period. It's no other way to do it. They got to manage them. They got to make sure they get what they need out of them. They got to make sure they get them to their best self. If you are an owner, salon owner, and you say, I'm opening this business, I rarely hear about because I want to make money. Rarely do I hear that. I hear this dream. They want to have this team environment where everybody's professional and we can go to shows together and, all this type of stuff. Okay. But who's going to manage the team? Who's going to manage the team? Who's going to be the captain? Who's going to be the coach? Because every team has to have a coach, a manager, a facilitator. I don't care what you call them. And so I'm explaining this to her, and this is where it gets distorted. And I was telling her, I'm with you. I get it. I'm 100% for what she's saying. I'm just explaining to her the struggle that Black salon owners face with this broken mentality and then I'm going to get to why we operate so different. With this broken mentality that we're going to go into these businesses, but we are going to go into them responsibility of people free. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. And it shouldn't happen. If you are going to open a facility and you are bringing in people that want to, they got the option of working in a suite. They already know how the suite thing goes. They on their own. They already know that, because that investor, whether he's in the hair or she is in the hair industry or not, ain't gonna deal with nothing that comes with you. You are on your own. That it's kind of like this unspoken rule that people know that. They know they're on their own when they're in a suite in a box. They ain't got nothing to do with all that. Okay, they just make sure they keep the lights on and keep the water running, and they get that. But for some reason, I was explaining to her, when my fellow black and brown stylists that look like me, when they come into a booth rental, traditional open concept salon, they really want the help that you give to your commission people. They want the considerations that you give to your commission people, which we know is help, walk-ins, help building your clients, help encouraging you, motivating you, inspiring you, help you know about product, just help, whatever kind of help it is. They want that same help, but they want to, quote, be their own boss, but in your house. And what ends up happening every single time, it is one of the number one things that I find myself trying to kind of coach people off the ledge with understanding, is that when you open that salon, whether you know it or not, when you chose a booth rental structure for people who don't really understand the responsibilities that come with booth renting, you actually chose to manage people and just not get paid for it. That's what you chose. Because you're going to have to manage them anyway. You're going to have to do it anyway. If it's open, you're going to have to deal with whatever happens with them. If they're over here and they got a client situation and it's getting heated, guess what? You got to stop, or somebody in there, unless you got a receptionist, somebody in there got to stop, got to say, hold on a minute. They got to neutralize it. This is the stuff that happens with being a real owner. The management of people, of what happens with people in their chair. Now we got this whole COVID-19 thing that we got to deal with, those that are going back into work or those that have already happened. Now it's like, okay, if we got to take temperatures and if we got to, do this and clean this and all these other protocols we got to have, who is supposed to be responsible for that? Because I'm telling you, owners, if you leave it up to the individual booth renters to be responsible for that, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're literally going to have them where they may do it for a week. They may do it for 2 weeks, but they are not going to continue to be taking temperatures. They're going to fall off. They are not going to feel like that. So guess what? My salon owners / booth rental environment workers, you are going to have to take the ranks. Now, this is responsibilities that you can't get away from. And I was telling my friend this, you got to take the ranks. You're going to have to have somebody up at the front that's going to make sure if you're doing a digital form, you're going to have to make sure they filled it out, make sure they submitted it. Somebody's going to have to do the temperature thing. Whatever all you got in place, who's going to do it? So once again, the responsibilities of a booth rental owner who didn't want to manage people, who didn't want to be bothered with people's stuff, once again, you're bothered with people's stuff. And the difference in what my friend is doing versus what you're doing, she getting compensated for what she doing because she is getting a percentage and she has a tiered scale. So it's very fair. She's getting a percentage of their money based off of her handling all this stuff. My booth rental salon owners, you ain't getting nothing. You just got more responsibility and you do hair. And you still got to do the one thing you thought you were getting out of by not putting them on commission is you have to manage people. I don't know if you think about it, every time somebody leaves that shop, if they leave it and they unsatisfied, guess what? They don't say that person's name when they put in their review on Yelp. They don't say that person's name. Guess what? They say, don't y'all go over to that shop over there, and they say the salon's name. They say the salon's name and they say don't go over there. Okay? This is something I am not telling anyone what to do. I am not telling you that you have to do booth rental, you have to do commission. It is up to you to know which one works for you. What I am telling you is that you need to fully understand the responsibilities or lack thereof that come with both. You want to be a salon owner of a bunch of booth rental people, and for all of y'all out there that really believe that you can tell these booth renters what to wear, when to come, when not to come. Booth renters don't even have to come to a mandatory meeting. Do y'all know that? Not true. You hope they come, but if they don't come, what you gonna do? You can't find them? Not really. I don't care what kind of contract they sign. This is what y'all don't understand. Let me give you a scenario, and I think I've talked about this a little bit before. There is a person that I know that had a salon full of booth renters, and I've actually known of other instances since. This person had one of them contracts that got all these rules, regulations. We gonna do booth rental. So it's like you want to not be responsible, but then you want to tell them more than what you really are authorized to tell them to do. And your mindset is, well, as long as they sign this contract, then they basically said they gonna do it. Okay, let me break that down for you. This is what happened, and I need y'all to hear me and to really understand what I'm about to say. This is what actually happened. Look, one of these phones is about to die, so let me plug it up. There was a situation where a young lady owned a salon, and she owned a pretty large salon. This salon was actually all booth rental. We talking about a whole lot of people, right? Salon was completely booth rental. And what ended up happening was she fell out. She had some issues with one of the workers. You know, they had been there. Most of them had been there for a long time, so they kind of grew up in this thing together. We fall out. It happens. We come to these roles. We don't agree no more. This life, right? This particular booth renter made the decision, okay, I see we ain't vibing. They have become friends like a family, so she don't want to break the whole relationship up. So the booth renter made the mature decision, I'm going to move on, right? Let me just move on. What ended up happening in this cycle of the booth renter giving her 2 weeks notice, which was admirable, that she's going to move on, some kind of way, I don't even know how it happened, in that cycle, she got connected to a labor lawyer. How that happened, I don't know. In this labor lawyer conversation, some kind of way the labor lawyer asked her, let me see your contract. I'm just curious. Let me see what it says. The labor lawyer, because he knows the laws, he looked at the contract. Now, mind you, I seen the contract. It was ironclad to me, but it did have a lot of prerequisites. It did have a lot of stuff like a handbook, something you can give to a commission person who is an employee. Had all this stuff in there. And what he told her was, this is not an independent contractor's agreement. This is way past an independent contractor's agreement. And guess what? He encouraged her to challenge it. And he basically helped her. He helped her challenge it. He helped her with legal fees and all of that. The owner was served an actual lawsuit saying that this particular contract was illegal because it had too many things and restrictions on you got to wear this and you got these booth renters now. Y'all got all this stuff on your contract. I'm just letting you know what could happen. So as they proceeded, first of all, the girl that owns the salon is like, are you serious? She gets served with this suit to come to court or arbitration first about this contract. And in the eyes of the law, I don't care what you think. So if this don't ever happen to you, okay, I guess you fine, but it can't happen. In the eyes of the law, an independent contractor only can be held to certain community property restrictions because the person that runs the business has to ensure certain community property things, like if somebody falls or if somebody, you know, in the bathroom, maybe the water's too hot. That's why you got to have that temperature thing on the water so that nobody gets scalded. It's little things like that. And I can go on with that. But all this other stuff, you got to come to mandatory meetings. You better type up a letter and give it to them. You got to wear a smock and yeah, it's nice if you can put that in place and they say that's cool. But the labor lawyer told her this is the piercing of the veil. This, in the eyes of the law, is someone that wants to run their business like you an employee, but they want to get off the hook and not classify you as an employee so they don't have to pay unemployment, Social Security, Medicare, so they don't have to deal with that part of what it is that you are supposed to be obligated to do. So in the eyes of the law, they look at the owner like you trying to double dip. You want to make them booth rental. And even for y'all that's out here doing this so-called commission that really is just an offset for booth rental, meaning that you calling them commission, but they collect their own money and they just give you back a percentage. That ain't what that is. That's something altogether different. Okay. But this is how the law looked at that contract. So not only did the girl take her to court, but the girl made sure that she wisened up every single other booth renter in that salon as to what was going on, and they all sued her. And guess what, guys? They won. That lawyer that salon owner got stuck with a 6-figure repayment tab to the state, to the federal, because in their mindset, you want to classify them as 1099, so you ain't got to be bothered with all of that. But then you want to treat them like they employees and make the stuff mandatory. It's like, and you think just because they signed it, it's going to hold up in court. I'm here to tell you, let it be challenged and let's see what happens. So that girl has a fully empty shop. She literally owes, probably to the day she dies, she didn't tell me how much the 6 figures were, but she owes a 6-figure tab that's got a ton of interest on it of what she should have been paying in, because she really was treating them as if they were W-2 employees. That's how she was treating them. So all that extra stuff y'all putting down on these contracts about they got to do this and that, I'm here to warn you. Just because they sign it does not mean it's actually a legal contract. It does not mean that. Okay? So I'm just telling y'all do what y'all want to do, because I get into these battles all the time. So me and my white friend, because we are friends, we having this conversation. And so as we went into all of this, I asked her, what do you think is the reason why black salons operate so differently than white salons? Why is it so difficult for a black, because she has a lot of black friends other than me. Why do you think it's so difficult for black people to get other black stylists to literally work for them? Now, let me tell you what she said, which was amazing to me. I love this girl. I ain't gonna say her name, but I love her. She said, well, Nick, I may not be the person to say this, but I know you writing that book on salon ownership / slavery ship. I know you writing it. She said, when I first saw you put the book out, I know it won't be, she already bought a book. It won't be ready till November. It made me, because I do have a lot of, she got some black stylists in there that work commission, not a lot of them, but she has other friends other than me that are black salon owners that she wanted to understand. She said, so I started reading a couple things. A couple books I got off Amazon about slavery. Her thing was, she was trying to understand where, as she said, she really believed that it had something to do with just a mindset that black people have had forever and that white people just never had. Let me tell y'all what she said. It was we talked for 4 hours. She said, if you think about it, Nikki, when whites, Europeans, start enslaving blacks, whites all the way back since the beginning of time have thought in terms of, I'm the boss and somebody has to work for me. Well, unfortunately, they chose 400 some years ago for it to be blacks and make them work basically for free. But the mindset she was telling me was that it's still an entrepreneur mindset that if this is my plantation, my house, my field, we ain't partners. You work here. She said, I believe, and this is a white girl telling me this. She said, I believe that because black people, since the beginning of time, have always been the workers, that they just have a worker's mentality. They have a blue collar mentality. She said, most of my white salon owners that I'm also friends with, we all got a white collar mentality. We don't have a blue collar mentality. Even if we have to be blue collar, we blue collar long enough until we can get in white collar positions where we can then make money, own our own stuff, and then have people work for us. She said it never even crosses our minds to actually have where all these people that we didn't put up all the money, we didn't did all the work, And yet we're just going to let people come in here in the open environment. We're going to be responsible for all their brand and marketing and helping them out and all this. But then we just going to make them pay us this little weekly amount, 152, whatever. She said that is incomprehensible. This is what she said. And I told her, I said, I think you own to something, which I had already thought that. But I told her, I said, I 100% agree that when you have a blue collar mentality and nothing about that shifts, even when you become in a white collar ownership position, you end up still operating with a blue collar mentality, meaning I just want to come here, do minimal, get my little money and run. And you don't realize how much you have actually put up. See, this is when I start coaching. This is, as they say, where the rubber met the road. I got salon owners coming to me crying because they went into this with a blue collar mentality. I just want to open the spot. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to do all that. I just want to open the spot, let them come here, pay me their little money and go on their way. And then it don't work like that because that is not reality. In reality, somebody got to be the coach of this team. Period. Somebody got to manage these people. They don't know what to do. They may think they do. They coming into it too. I want to be my own boss. I want to do my own thing. But then when Corona hit, if you want to be the boss, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. When Corona hit, none of them booth renters felt like they should pay rent. They don't want to be the boss no more. They want to be the kid who live in their parent house, who want privacy, want their own room, want to come and go as they please. But then as soon as it's time to pay the piper and still pay your part, you're like, no, that ain't my responsibility no more. You can't have it both ways. Period. You cannot have it both ways. And the thing that breaks my heart, it breaks my heart, is I am working. I literally, guys, my mind never sleeps. I'm up like, God, what more can I do to help? And I'm getting emotional about it because it hurts my heart. What more can I do to help my people, my Black salon owners who have given up everything for this vision, and they don't understand that you can't put $100,000 up and then let people come in and out and do what they want to do. I know it's hard. You want Black people to work for you. I get it. I know it's hard because they won't work commission. They won't do what they want you to help them, but they don't want to pay for the help. I 100% get it. This is why we struggle. That whole mentality was bred 400 years ago. We don't want to work for each other. You know how many people I got with all that I do. You know how many people that I'm close to, that I consider my friend, that will not pay for my conferences, that will not buy not a book for me, but will call me and ask me advice. Guess what I tell them? It's going to cost you. Because I'm actually offended. Everybody else pays me for this, but you want it for free because you having a hard time with paying me for that. This is a Black on Black problem. This ain't about white folks. This is just showing you that it's a disparity even in this little circuit of the beauty industry. It's bigger. The systematic issues that we are dealing with, they're bigger, they go into small sectors, but this is the problem. And let me tell you, I have heard people tell me that are owners that they literally have to pipe down. Like, you can't roll up in that shop as no owner with no new car. Because let me tell you, now you got your workers counting your money. They don't understand that you put up your house, you mortgaged everything you had. They don't even realize that there's sometimes you living in impoverished situations trying to keep this business going. And yet, when they see you doing better, they got a problem. I'm going to take it to you another way. I got a very good friend of 30 years that was the administrator for a huge mega church. I'm talking 30,000 members, this, and that. So by her being an administrator, as she came from corporate, she had the opportunity to go around to many churches, which would be white churches, white mega churches, all of that. She had the opportunity to go all over the place. And she said, let me tell you what's crazy. Now, she know how it goes. She said, do you know when I go to the mega churches that are predominantly white, they don't want to follow nobody who don't look like they doing better than them. They are, matter of fact, if the pastor need a new car, they gonna put some extra money in the kitty just so he gets a new car. She said, do you know that at black churches, if a pastor rolls up in something that they don't understand how he was able to afford, she said, do you know people will hold back their tithes? They'll be like, no, we giving this church too much money. Or they assume he's stealing. Somebody that feeds your soul, that gives everything they got every day. Unless you're in that position, you have no idea the emotional energy that requires from them. But she said, even in the church, because I actually called her after I had this conversation with the white girl, she said it's the same way in the church. She said, even in the church, white congregants want to filter. They want to pay in to their leaders, which is the boss, so to speak. She said in black churches, oh, no. You start living too fly. You got too much going on. You got this big old fancy house. It becomes a problem. It's a problem. You can't blame that on. That, I know it started way back years ago when they pitted us against each other. And I am a person, before we can fix this, you have to even know that it is. You have to believe that the positions that we are in is because we have been broken and we don't understand the oppressed mindsets we have. We don't understand that we are continuing the cycle to ourselves. I right now, with all the people that I have that listen to me, I promise you, I can open a commission salon right now. I would still have a hard time getting black people. And they know I got something to offer them. I would still have a hard time getting black people to work for me under commission. And if they did it, they would come in with the mindset, I'm going to do this for a minute. I'm going to get what I can get. And then I'm rolling up out of here. That they would not look at it as I'm helping her, she helping me. They wouldn't look at it like that. They wouldn't. So the reason white salons, and I can go on forever about that. My book that I actually will have out, it's on my website, guys. My editor is like, girl, if you add another thing to this book, my editor and publisher, but God keeps revealing more things to me that I think are important to be in there, because it's about understanding that as a salon owner, you've defined as an owner of a business, as a black owner of a business, you have defied the system and how it was set up. It was not set up for you to be the leader. It was not set up for you to be the one in charge. It was not set up for you to be up here and have people working for you. But so the minute you decided to not be a W-2 and not be a person punching the clock and not be a blue collar worker was the minute that everything had to shift. The way you think, the way you process what you got to deal with, you have to change everything about the way you think. And there are too many salons, and I'm talking nationwide. I'm all over the place. There are too many salon owners that are operating under this worker mentality, or as Robert Kiyosaki calls it, the self-employed mentality, because he got obviously employee, self-employed, big business, and investor. If you read the Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich Dad Poor Dad, for y'all that haven't read it, y'all know what I'm talking about. You open in this business with a self-employed mentality. When you decided that you wanted to open it, you really switched to what's needed to operate a big business mentality. Meaning you need workers. You need workers that you can actually benefit from their work and get a return. That is the way business goes. You still are providing what's needed for them, but why you gonna put up $100 grand? And I wish somebody would. I would dare anybody. I ain't got no problem. That's why I ain't been a people pleaser ever in my life. If I put up the money, I wish you would say something about I don't deserve something. You want to see me with another face? Look, you ain't put up a dime. You ain't done nothing but came here with your curling irons and your blow dryers. When the water gets crazy, you walk out the door. I got to deal with plumbers and electrician. I right now got to buy a furnace for my business. $1,800. You ain't got to deal with none of that. So I don't want to hear nothing about we decide. We ain't the same. We're not. And we ain't going to be the same until you do what I did. Okay? And I'm not saying you got to be arrogant about it. I don't walk around with a I'm the boss t-shirt, but I promise you, if it ever becomes a challenge and you in any way want to act like we equal in this thing, no, we not. We are not equal. Okay? And so me and my white friend, let me go back to her. She was like, nigga, I don't get this. She said, I hear it all the time because she got other black salon owners. We all get together, we talk, and it's a wonderful dialogue. It's a wonderful conversation of understanding what the differences are. And she's like, she asked me, why would a black salon owner do that? Why would they? She won't mention the whole thing with slavery. She gets the mentality. But her thing is, once you decided to go another direction, you got to change everything. The way you think. I said, I almost keep getting ready to say her name. I am 100% in agreement with you. Everything needs to change. I made the shift. I get it. She said, nobody opens a salon or any kind of business to just barely make it. Who does that? And it is too many I told her, it's too many of my black salon owners, they not even making it. They literally are using all their service money. They robbing Peter to pay Peter. We ain't even talking about Paul. They robbing Peter, taking this, paying it over here. They do it. It doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. It does not work. So I'm sure you're asking, what's the solution, right? I mentioned, I don't even know what today is, but 3-4 days ago, when I did a Facebook talk on showing you all how I decided, because the reality is what it is, and we ain't gonna change it in a day, right? And if you're an owner, you still gotta survive. So I mentioned to her, I could preach this all day, and I do plan on doing that, but I did mention to her that what's gonna have to happen is the structure or the blueprint of how salons are open concept salons, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. You got a few diamonds in the rough where they get people there and they got an open salon concept. I personally know 1 or 2, and they don't have these kind of problems. But it also is because they've chosen the right people. And I'm going to tell y'all something. I purposely hire ex-salon owners. I purposely do it. I purposely, when I interview people, I want to know how long you own, or have you ever owned, along with all these other interview questions. I asked them that. I'm looking for somebody who felt the sting. I don't want nobody who owned for 2 years. You weren't in it long enough to feel it. I don't want nobody who owned for 5 years. You ain't feel it long enough. I'm looking for that perfect person that owned between maybe 8 and maybe about 12 years. I know you know what I'm talking about. A person in that particular position that obviously it didn't work for them, they become the perfect candidates if you are in an open salon situation because they fully understand what it requires. You have very little issues from them. I actually know a couple salons, they purposely sought out that group and they got a bunch of them and they're in an open concept, but you got people that know what it's like to be on the other side. So you don't have a bunch of problems from them. That's a whole different concept. But for those of you all that's not the group you after, and that's not the group you getting, what I had another conversation with another person. I was telling you all about this a couple days ago. He did own traditional salons and suites. He decided, he's white. He decided to change all of his traditional salons into co-working spaces, which is what I couldn't think of the name, but one of my coachees said they're co-working spaces. That means, since now we got to do the social distancing thing anyway, he's putting walls, not plexiglass, not just stuff to separate. He actually is cubicalizing. I just did this with my spot. He's cubicalizing. If that's a word, guys, I don't even know if that's a word. But he literally is making cubicles. That means they're not suites per se. They're what we call open concept suites or semi-private suites. What happens with the semi-private thing? And it's a beautiful concept. You kind of get the best of both worlds. And let me tell you why. I was explaining this to a coach yesterday. When you put walls around them, you actually have given them their own territory. You've given them their own space that realistically, nobody has any reason to be in there but them. We naturally, as humans, are very territorial people. We are people that think about when you go to church, think about wherever you go on a regular basis. If you go to the mall, you park in the same area. You almost park in the same spot. If you could, you don't realize you in church. If you sit in a certain seat all the time, you almost get heated. When you walk in and see somebody in that seat, you feel like that's my seat. Why are they sitting there? Why y'all didn't save my seat? We are naturally territorial people. And what happens is when somebody assigns you a space and you now know that space is yours, you automatically, your workers, your booth renters will automatically shift in a little bit of the way they think. If you like, I ain't doing that. I just got to have booth rent. And their sense of responsibility, it will, guys, it will automatically change. They will automatically become more responsible because this is theirs. They'll clean it up more. And the beautiful thing about this concept is that it still gives people who are maybe more extroverted and not introverted. There are no doors. There are no enclosures. It's just walls around you. And some of them actually do convertible walls that don't even go all the way up. So the noise that you hear from other people, it all becomes part of the experience. You ain't trying to totally isolate yourself in a soundproof room where you ain't dealing with nobody. So as an owner, if you're going to do booth rental, I was having this conversation with him and the girl I was talking to, this becomes a concept that is more marketable today. That's why you got all these co-working spaces. People don't want to work for you. They just don't. You know, for whatever reason, we can get into that later, but they just don't. So it's like, look, I done already spent $100 grand on this salon. Let me put up some walls. Let me put them in a cubicle. Let me literally get this show space. Ain't nobody got no business being in here. It changes their mindset with how they deem responsibility. You can even, what I've done in my spaces, the whole place is 2 tones of gray, but I've allowed each space for a person. Now you ain't painting it black. You ain't paint. We not doing that. I allowed them within reason with a color. You can paint one accent wall in your co-working space that you like. If you like peach, if you like teal, I don't really care. As long as it ain't black or something I got to do 10 coats of primer, you ain't painting. You buy the paint. I get a real painter. They paint it. I'm also allowing other slight customizations to this room because now, guess what, guys? At best, because you're not getting the commission money where you get, you get based off of what they get. But when you offer these type of scenarios, your rent just went up because you have your own customized space. So now at least my salon owners can charge more for the real estate. Maybe you were charging, I don't know, $175, $200. But guess what? The minute it becomes custom, the minute it becomes your space and can't nobody, this your room, now that just went up about $50 to $75 a week. That's what just happened with that. And let me tell you what's amazing. You wonder why you got all these people out here paying for suites, $300, $375, $400. It's a mentality. I'm paying for my own space. And they are, it's amazing. The psychology of some walls. It's amazing how they become ultra, even if they never owned a day in their life, they become very responsible. They understand about marketing. Just a wall, if you don't want to do the commission thing, will shift the entire mentality of the people that you're working. They don't want to be in a fully enclosed suite. They still want to hear people and people walk by, hey girl, how you doing? And all of this, but it now becomes a co-working space that is assigned to you. Not even like regular co-working spaces where you only got it for a day or for a week or however long you go. No, this your space. As long as you here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, it's yours. You could even draw an invisible line. Don't y'all come past here. Okay. I am a person that's about solutions. I realize that it is a mentality from the blue collar to the white collar that with everything that I do, with everything that I teach, I am trying to get my salon owners, who is my tribe that I was assigned to, I'm trying to get them to change from that blue collar thinking to more of a white collar thinking, meaning manager, in charge, coach, these things, because that's what you are, whether you know it or not. But I do understand that we are not going to change 400 years of a way of thinking overnight. And you still got to eat. And you still got to try to make whatever money you need to make. So I want to encourage you to just understand and open your mind to the possibilities of making some shifts right now into what you need to do in order to make your business more successful. I use the term, you just got to update your dream. It's like updating the phone. You just got used to how it worked, and now they making you update it, and now you got to learn something all over again. That is what business is, guys. You have to be flexible. You have to adapt. And if people really just, for whatever reason, I already just explained some that I feel and that my white friend feels, if people just want to feel like they work for themselves and they got their own this, fine. You just put them in the cubicle, in a co-working space, and then now everybody got their own space. They feel like this is mine. You ain't got no business up in here. They become more responsible, but yet you still can fulfill your dream of possibly building this team. But I promise you, once you've done that, you just lessen some of that responsibility because you say you ain't want to manage people. Now, I know I can't make you change that completely. What I am trying to do is give you a middle of the road solutions, because it's going to be a long journey, if ever, that you're going to get a whole group of black people that want to work for another black person and do commission. Okay, they want to do booth rental. This how we going to do it. It don't cost no money for no walls now. I ain't even say you got to put electrical in them. Let the electrical be where it's going to be. You put some walls up, just make sure they sturdy. You can do them convertible. If you do them all the way up now, well, as long as you don't have doors on them, you don't have to change your HVAC system. Once you start enclosing stuff, you got to change HVAC systems because it has to actually filtrate through the room some kind of way. This is something that is just a reality, guys. And again, my white friend is like, when I mention this to her, this not the one that's got the suites and had the traditional salons and converted all them to co-working spaces. This is the white girl that's got all commission spaces. She still is like, well, Nikki, do whatever y'all got to do. I ain't doing that. You work here, you work for me. And those are some of the biggest differences with white salons and black salons. And I love having these conversations with people. I love trying to understand. And, you know, she'll say some things to me, and I tell her flat out, black people are not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Yeah, maybe they should, but they're not going to. Black people ain't going to, first of all, black people ain't even going to sit. They're not going to sit. I even mentioned to her, because what a lot of full commission salons do now is they do commission on a draw. That means they actually give them an hourly salary, kind of like corporate salons. But if their sales and services exceed that amount, then they get the commission instead of the hourly. You know how many black salons I told that to? They like, I wish I would pay them just for sitting here. They're not even going to. Most black salons are not even going to, that concept is not acceptable. I'm not paying them for just sitting here, because unfortunately you will get some people that will just get comfortable with that $9 an hour and won't try to do nothing else. And they're like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So again, here we are again. We got these owners with these different mindsets about why they went into ownership. And I realized it is very culturally different. That's when I realized, okay, my black people think like this. I got Asian people I deal with. They asked me in a minute. My Chinese friend is like, Nikki, you got to really help me understand. Asia's a whole nother animal. They bred from children to be entrepreneurs. They bred from the minute they can walk to be entrepreneurs. So they don't understand the blue collar mentality at all. Okay. Then you have Caucasians that border on both sides, but they do understand what comes with being a real owner. I don't care where they came from. Okay. And then you have us, black people, who back when my mother and maybe some of you all, the baby boomer generation, they didn't think blue collar. The job, what do baby boomers say? You get you a good job at the post office, at the railroad, at the driving the bus, or these y'all know what I'm trying to say. These industrial revolution jobs. That means the jobs that got big around that era. The goal is you get you a job there. That's a good job. You work there 20, 30 years, maybe 40. You work for Ford or something like that. And then you good. And then here come, I'm Generation X, right? I'm 50. I'm 50. I'll be 51 this year. I'm Generation X. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do that. I actually, because I have a lot of millennials that I deal with. I love millennials, y'all. Y'all be running from them. I love them, because millennials ain't working for nobody long. They don't even want to work for you. Forget it. 25 to 37, if they come and work in your shop, they're going to be there for maybe 12 months and they out. They don't want to work for nobody. Their brains don't even stay still long enough, because if something ain't working, they going to abandon it and they going on to something else. So I literally deal with a lot of millennials. So I have this mindset that bridges between, I do understand the stability of the baby boomer generation, but I also understand the plight of entrepreneurship. I ain't never wanted to work no 9-to-5 job because I don't really like people telling me what to do. But the difference is I'm willing to pay the cost to be the boss. I'm willing to take the hit. I'm willing to do, I don't cry about when I decided to do something and now this is what I'm stuck with. I don't cry about it. I'm willing to take the hit. This is what I have to teach my millennials. They want to go out here and I'm patient. My millennials don't want to be patient. They want to be the boss, but they don't want to wait for nothing. As Simon Sinek says, for those of you all that read, he talks about all the time. He says, when I deal with these millennials, I have to get them to understand. If you got a mountain in front of you, I don't care whether you go up, whether you hike up, whether you fly up, whatever you do, however you get to the top, it's still a mountain. And it ain't no other way to get around it but to do the work to get up there. Whatever. Okay, so the problem with the millennial generation is I'm able to help them with patience because they have none. They want it to work tomorrow. That's the microwave generation. And a lot of their problems is us. The baby boomers, grandmamas that raised them, and the generation X's that raised them, we were taught to work hard and to do stuff, but we want to free them. We don't, I still know people that got kids as teenagers that still wash their clothes. Are you serious? Then you wonder why they entitled. Then you wonder why they don't want to do nothing, because as Generation Xers who have now teenagers or young adults, mine are 25, 21 and 16. These are my stepchildren, but they my kids. These are the things, if they are not made to be as responsible as you were, why you think they don't want to wait on nothing? You ain't made them wait on nothing. You ain't made them wait. You ain't made them earn nothing. You ain't made them wait on nothing. Simon Sinek talks about that all the time. He said, the millennials the way they are because of us. That's why they like that. They didn't come in this world like that. You got, my mother told me when I was 16, and she actually was in a position she could have bought. She said, let me tell you something. Gucci bags and all this other stuff, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. That's not what I do. You want that? You get older, you buy. I don't do that. And I was the only child, and I was raised like a drill. My mother was a drill sergeant. She ain't play that. You weren't going to sleep all day? You got to get up. You got to make your bed. I literally could be getting right back into bed, and I'm still going to make it. She raised me with the principles that were what I still do today. Okay? And this is something that we got to understand. All of these ways of thinking, guys, the moral to this whole talk is all of these ways of thinking came from somewhere. Okay? And I'm just telling you, if you want to get into a different lifestyle, you don't want to work for nobody, you want to be an owner, you got to change more than just an address. You got to change the way you think. You got to change the way you think. You got to be willing to take a hit. I know some owners that's like, look, the business got to survive. I'll live in it if I have to. That's me. I'm the person that would probably live in my car. I have lived in my shop. That's a whole nother conversation. And this is the thing. You got to do what you got to do. But it's a mindset that comes with it, guys. So I wanted to share that with you all today. Y'all, please share this video. Share it. Tag every group you got. Tag your friends. Share it. I need people to understand the decisions they make and what comes with it. And there is a difference. Right now, we're in this whole climate of racial disparity and you know, whites not understanding blacks and this. And let me tell you something. It was profound to me. Jimmy Kimmel, I happened to see him on TV today. And he, I guess, stopped his program to say this. And it was amazing. He was talking about white privilege. What he said, I, for years, didn't understand what people meant by when they would say white privilege. What do you mean white privilege? I had to work for everything I got. I had to hustle, grind. Ain't nobody gave me nothing. But you know what he turned around and said? I never heard anybody of any color stating this. He said, but then I started to realize white privilege doesn't mean that you didn't have to work for it. It just means that you don't have the obstacle of your skin color as being the reasons why you don't get it. That's the one obstacle you don't have. So for whites that don't get it, he said this. He said, that's on you. He said, because you don't have that obstacle. He said he realized that a black person could work just as hard as him and they still would have the obstacle of this, which could still keep them from getting their just due for their work. I thought it was beautiful because that is what it means. It don't mean you ain't got to work. It just means that that's one obstacle that you won't have. All right. And so I want to bring to the attention, since this is the climate of where we're at, a lot of these obstacles, they did come from a mentality. We want to talk about George Floyd. We want to talk about Sandra Bland. We want to talk about all of this stuff. I need you all, if you all know who Trevor Noah is. I shared it on my page. Trevor Noah has one of the most intellectual explanations of what's happening right now that I have ever heard. He talks about Amber, I think her name was Amber Cooper. He breaks down how Amber Cooper knew that when she accidentally went into that wrong apartment and shot that man, he breaks down how because of the way this country is divided in the unsaid, she knew how to play what she needed to do and say. And regardless of anybody knowing what the end result is going to be, she knew that the favor, because of these things that aren't said, would ride her direction. Y'all need to listen to it. It is the most profound explanation of where we are that I have ever heard anybody say. Trevor Noah, just go on his page. He's sitting there all ungroomed, and it's about an hour long. It is profound. And what I want to say to you all is that we have to become, at any age, I know this happens typically when people get older, but in order to fix any of this that I just said, even on the level of just our salons, we have to become more socially conscious. You have to become more self-aware. You have to know why you do what you do. You have to know why other people do what they do. You have to become more connected internally, externally, before you can even fix these problems. You think, I hear people say all the time, I can't find nobody that's going to work with me. Ain't no good stylists out here. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that there's no one out here that got sense? Everybody crazy, and you the only one sane, and you ain't never going to find nobody work for you. You know what I tell people? Then sell it, pack it up, move on, and do whatever comes next. But don't nobody want to do that. So the only way to solve this situation is to first try to figure out, how did we get here? What's really going on? It ain't what we see. That man that stood on kneeled on George Floyd's neck, that was what that man felt in his heart. And let me tell you something. You could have as many sensitivity trainings as you want to. If you do not heal a man's heart, if you put a picture up of somebody in a hoodie and a picture up of this, if you just did a word association or a picture association to anybody, and you put a picture of all these different things and just say to them, what's the first thing you think of when you see this picture? That's the problem. The first thing that people think of that have not been trained any differently from child up about a lot of black people is that we all thugs, we all this, that, and the other. And let's keep it real now. Some of us are. And however we got that way is another thing. But you have to heal a man's heart before you can change your system. If he feels that in his heart, if he honestly is fearful of black people, when he's put in that position and he the one with the gun and he's got the authority, it's what's in his heart that's going to come out. I don't care what you teach him. I don't care. If you don't come up with a way to change a man's heart, it is not going to change. I sit and I have to turn it off sometimes. Like, you know what? I'm sorry. If you don't change a man's heart, first of all, God ain't in him, and he could have been bred from birth. You all remember that movie, American History X. Y'all need to watch it again if you ain't watching. I watched in a movie how a boy who had no ills with black people was at the dinner table just this stuff. His father put this stuff in him over and over and over again. And he liked black people. Then all of a sudden his father started shifting the way he was thinking and started saying stuff about, well, you got to remember black people. You got people that's brought up like that from birth. And then you got number 45 who that's a whole nother conversation. All right. So when I look at this, I understand on a global level how it trickles down to things that are small. I get it. So while y'all run around here just being mad, looting, talk, look, that ain't gonna fix nothing. That ain't gonna fix a thing. Y'all with me? It's not gonna fix nothing. The problem will still exist. You got a gazillion police officers out there. If you don't know what they really feel about black people, about Mexicans, about whites, if you don't know what's in their heart, and you don't work in that, you don't literally, and I'm sure there's some psychological something I ain't no psychologist, but I'm sure it's something that could be done look, I know people, my husband's in the prison system, and he talked about, or his ex-boss, who I do her hair, talked about the whole word association and how they used to do it with prisoners, and they used to try to get them to, you know, they was clowning, and they got, you know, they killing each other, and these were some of the worst hardened criminals. And his boss would tell me they would take them and they would put them in the psychologist's office. They got them chained up because they just ain't.